And we begin January of Suck 4. For those of you new to this, January of Suck is pretty much a standard thing I do for quite some time now. Where throughout January I watch one bad movie a day and talk about it after I watch it. So it's kind of a react to whatever I watch. Oftentimes it's stuff that I've never seen before, though I will occasionally break the rules and watch something that I have seen before. Usually just because it might get a new reaction for me, especially if it's stuff that I haven't seen in a while. Uh, in the case of this year, I decided to do it as videos. Pretty much for the last 3 years, I've just done it in written form. Figured I'd try something new, something where I can get my reaction right away, rather than collect my thoughts, write it down, and put it there for you. As such, this you won't get much coherent thoughts. I mean, I don't want to say you won't get coherent thoughts, but pretty much you're not gonna hear me just reading off of something. This is my pretty much exact reaction. So expect to hear mistakes in what I say. It's just something that's bound to happen. In the case of this year, I decided to do something a little different. I mean, again, I've already mentioned that for the video, but in terms of what I opened up with was uh, something that I have seen before. It's been years since I've actually watched it. It's a movie called Kazam. A lot of you are probably laughing at, you know, me watching something so awful, but uh, you know, gotta be honest. Compared to what I saw when I was a kid, it's not as bad. It's bad, but not as bad as I remember it being, or as I thought it was going to be based on what I remember. And the reason for that is that, as dumb as the movie is, it's just kind of your standard family film. Uh, Honestly, I'm reminded a lot of how people react and still react really to the Emoji Movie, where they shout to the heavens about how awful it is. But you look at it and it's like, I mean, the concept of it is stupid, but the movie itself, not so much. I mean, it's still stupid, but it's kind of average in terms of a list of bad movies you've probably seen, and that's how Kazam is. I mean, okay. So for those of you who are unaware of what this movie is, it's a movie where Shaq plays a genie, comes out of a boombox, so he raps because 90s, I guess, and this kid who comes from a broken home, mother is getting ready to marry a new guy. Kid hasn't seen his father in who knows how long. Turns out the father is part of some mob or something, and Genie brings them together. Happiness, whatever. Honestly, kind of standard family stuff. I mean, this movie gets a really bad reputation for how stupid it is, and to be fair, it's it is a stupid movie given the whole premise of a rapping genie. But again, it's kind of an average kids movie. I don't really get the hatred for this. I mean, uh, Shaq. I mean, for all you can say about how bad he is at acting, he's not as awful as people make him out to be. I mean, he's pretty much delivering exactly what I'm pretty sure was expected out of him. I mean, it's still not good, but you know, given how it's been played up, I mean, he's not one of the worst actors I've seen, especially compared to other athletes. I mean, I got to be honest. A lot of people tend to praise like Space Jam, and granted, a lot of people who like it still are aware that it's stupid. But I look at that and I'm like, compared to Michael Jordan, Shaq is a little bit better of an actor. I mean, at least there's kind of a charm to him, because he seems at least happy to be there. Michael Jordan in Space Jam was just kind of like reacting in the most bland way possible whenever the Looney Tunes were doing crazy fucking shit. Like, you'd see Bugs Bunny smacking him around, and his only reaction would be, "You're a cartoon, you're not real." And at least with Shaq, he's actually reacting I mean, not good, but in a way that's kind of like, okay, he's trying. It's not a good attempt, but he's trying. Um, but yeah, I gotta be honest, it's not as bad as I remember it being, nor is it as bad as I've heard some people say it is. I mean, stupid kids movie. I mean, you get some bits where it comes off a little stalkerish, but even the movie kind of acknowledges this. So you do have to wonder why the main kid never calls the cops on Shaq early on, especially given that he's even aware. Like, yeah, you're kind of acting like some kind of pedophile or creep. I mean, they even use some of the words like like at one point he calls him a pervert, and I'm like, I mean, kinda. It's not supposed to be read that way. It's supposed to be goofy, but realistically, that's how it's going to be read. And again, movie's kind of harmless. I mean, it's stupid, but I've seen movies that, you know, take you know, the whole idea of whatever they're going with, and it just comes off way worse. I mean, in terms of bad movies I've seen, this is really just middle of the road. Like, I wouldn't watch it again just because it's boring, with a few moments that are kind of funny just because of how creepy it is. Like, I mean, at most, the only thing that I laughed at that wasn't really creepy was just there's a bit where the kid who's like some white boy who is basically like, oh yeah, you don't know how to rap, I'll teach you how to rap or something like that to Shaq, and I'm like, okay, look, not that Shaq is a great rapper. I mean, he says some stupid shit in his raps throughout this movie, but come on, some white boy's gonna teach Shaq how to rap. Come on. And yeah, it's just boring. It's not really that awful. And if you were coming into this video, especially if you've seen my other January of Sucks, thinking that I was gonna turn this one a complete new asshole or something, or kind of anguish into pain. First off, you haven't really paid attention to any of those reviews that I wrote because I mean, granted, I have been there has been somewhere I really emphasize how much in pain I was in, but for the most part, these are bad movies. But after 1 year of watching so many in a row, you kind of stop caring. And in the case of this one, where it's something average and it's built up more hatred than it actually deserves, I got nothing. I mean, Shaq's kind of a stalker in it, but he's not a bad actor. And for the most part, outside of those stalkerish scenes, it's really just a boring thing. I mean, again, he raps. He comes out of a boombox, which is completely '90s bullshit. But I mean, not really that stupid compared to some other stuff. I mean, if you want a bad '90s movie, I'm. I mean, there's plenty, to be honest. There's plenty, but this is not gonna be like a laugh out loud party kind of thing. Nor is it gonna be the kind of movie where you're gonna be stabbing your eyeballs, wishing that you'd seen something else. It's just standard kind of bad, and for the most part, you know, kind of harmless. I mean, it doesn't teach your kids anything that you wouldn't want them to learn, and the arc with the father is kind of amusing. I mean, not so much in the sense that it's good. It's just that it's at least a good kind of uplifting, positive messages. I guess, despite the fact that he's a scumbag, you do see like, okay, at some point you can forgive him, and you can clearly tell that he doesn't want to be fully involved, but whatever. Realistically, the only thing I can't say that's really positive about the movie that I didn't really think about when I was a kid is that Shaq as this genie is kind of selfish, which I know doesn't sound like a good idea, but in the case of this movie where he's just like, look, kid, I don't even want to be here. Just grant your 3 wishes, and I'll get the fuck out of here. That's kind of interesting. I mean, like even like the most known genie in movies, which is the Robin Williams one. Even he kind of starts off like, okay, I want to help you out. He just doesn't really pop off selfish. And not that I'm saying that Shaq is better than Robin Williams, because fuck no, was that the case. But at the very least, I can at least admire that they chose to go with that route instead of trying to make him like Robin Williams. Because that's one thing that I can't say about this. Like, as weird as Shaq is as a genie, he doesn't come off as Robin Williams uh, rip off 2.0, whatever you want to call it. He is selfish, and eventually him staying in the real world is less about him being like, oh, I want to be free, and more about, look, I got this good gig, with my rapping skills, because I conveniently had those as a genie. Um, so I kind of want to live that out. So that's kind of interesting, because, like, again, going with the Robin Williams one, he just wants to be free just because he doesn't want to do any more like biddings, wishes, whatever, for his masters. Whereas this one is like, look, I don't want to be in the real world, but eventually he finds a reason to want to be in it. So kind of interesting, but that's about it. Otherwise, it's boring and some unintentional laughs, but nonetheless, it's nothing to really get worked up about or get excited for laughs. So yeah, don't watch it. Here's hoping day two provides something that gives me a little more energy, I guess you can say, or something more to react. In the case of this, fuck Kazam, don't watch it. Though, not as bad as you'd expect it to be, so that's something.